It's a big mouth, you know, a know-it-all.
Don't listen to him, he's an ink poop.
The guy is a radio G.
Right, 5'9". Actually, I'm lying. The radio's not switched on. I'm just pretending for the video. Right, so I've just been to the Retovis website and I've got hold of the programming software, the RT82 firmware update program, and the firmwares and the user database manager, and as well as that I've got hold of the experimental firmware, which I'm going to try and put on the radio now. I've got the GPS version. If you've got the non-GPS, you'll need the non-GPS version of the firmware. So I'll go to Retovis. I was on here a minute ago. So I'll go to Retovis, and you want the resource center. So support, resource center. I'm just trying to show you how to get there from scratch. So from retovis.com, you want support, resources. So this is an RT82 GPS. So from the top, there's USB drivers there. There's one with the software. So I've got RT82. RT82, if I hover over that, that's the programming software. Click on that, download that. It's zipped up, you have to unzip it. RT82 firmware, I got that. That includes the firmware update program, and if you go down a bit further, you've got the hack firmware, the alternative firmware. I've got the GPS, so you must get this bit right or you'll brick the radio. It won't ruin it, but you just have to do it again. So download the RT82 GPS. That's the one I got. That's the firmware. That's a .bin file. And I got the Retovis user database manager. So I got all of them and I've put them here. Now the programming software doesn't need installing. This was quite unusual. It's a bit like a portable version. If you go there, go to the software, that will just run it. And I like that. That's a portable version, so I don't even have to install it. So I'm just thinking, what's the best order to do this? Let's get the firmware on here first. RT82 firmware. Now, there's two models, GPS and recording. So, no, sorry, GPS and non-GPS. So that's a GPS. That's got the CSV. That will do 100,000 contacts. If you're not bothered about the contacts and you'd like to record audio, you can go and get the record version. I think that will probably have 10,000 contacts. And this is the non-GPS version. That's the 100,000 one. And that's the non-GPS recording one. But I've also dropped in here the bin file for the experimental, because that's the one I'm really after. I contacted Retovis and asked them if they could send me an RT82, and they've sent me one free of charge. Thank you very much. And I'm going to check out the experimental firmware on the RT82. Now it's a bit more mature and established. So I'm going to run the firmware download software. I'm on Windows 10 64-bit. I click yes. I've already got it on because I've got multiple radio setups on here, so it's saying do you want to remove it. I'll say yes and then I'll put it in again. It takes seconds. So yes to all, it's all gone in. Finish. Okay. So I've installed it and it's put this icon on my desktop. Click on that. Now, it's been a while since I've used this. Download boot. So this is for uploading a picture. It's none of this, it's the top one. So I would think I open the file and then download it to the radio. Or is it this one? User program. Download. Yeah, I bet it's this one. Open file location. So there's my desktop. There's the firmware folder. And I'm showing it where my experimental firmware is. There it is. So that's where it is. And I'm just going to download it to the radio. Now the radio is connected with the wire. I'm turning it off. And I've got to have it on with holding in transmit. I think it's the button above. I'll just try that. So it's off. I'm holding in transmit and the button above. Switch it on. No, it's not that. It must be the red button on the top, I think. Let's try that. Transmit, red button, and switch it on. That's it. So it's flashing red and green now on the top of the radio. You probably heard a few noises. And it's putting the firmware on the radio. It's got time to write a quick message to someone. So this takes a while. This is normal. It's flashing the firmware to the radio. The radio's still flashing red and green. When it's finished, it will go back to a steady green, I think it is. Right, download upgrade file successful. Yeah, well, let's see. I'll turn it off and then back on. I don't like this bit. Well, it's come back on. I'm just scrolling down the menus. if you go to Utilities, yeah, it's works because I can see Set Talk Group and Tools. Right, so I don't need to show you it. The firmware has been applied. I now need to get the user database on the radio so that it shows the call signs. Just replying to a message. Right, so I've got the firmware on. I'm now going to do the user database. So the radio switched on. The radio switched on and it's just in on mode. Retivis User Database Manager. So I'll run the software. Windows always says this, you know, there's a problem. They've not heard of this software, so they're warning you that it's not known software. It doesn't mean there's a problem with it. So I'm running the software, select a language. Now I've not seen this before, I need to read this. So if I've got a file, I can upload it. You know, if I've got a database file, I can upload it. But I'm just going to download the current one. Now, bearing in mind, this radio holds 100,000, and at the moment the database is at 125,000. So I don't know if that will cause problems. I'll download it by clicking Download Update. The update file has arrived. And there it is there. If you right click it and open it, you can examine all the contacts in it. And I'm going to flash the user database. I could flash another file if I had one and then browse to the location of it. But flash user database. So the radio is just switched on. It's not in DFU mode. It takes a lot longer to do than that. That's not worked. On the radio it should say program radio. It should go to program radio mode. Let's try. That's definitely not right into the radio. Let's try flash from file and then point it to the file I've just downloaded. It doesn't say what that is. That could be a code plug. It's looking for, yeah, let's do it that way. So it's in the database manager. I'll go for the bigger one because the bigger one has got more contacts possibly, and this one says for the 2017, so that looks promising. So I've opened that flash user database. Perhaps I'm being impatient. Nothing's happening on the radio. It's definitely not writing it. So I've just disconnected my USB, put it back in again. Turn the radio off and back on again. Might be a USB issue. Flash user database. I've downloaded it, there's no reason why that shouldn't work. Right, it's working this time. It's actually going across. Flash user database. So it must have been a USB issue. But I'm still learning. Things don't always go right for me. Now on the radio it doesn't say program radio like it normally does. So I'm still not certain it's going over. The radio just looks like it's on. Well, the radio's just reboot, so we could be in luck. Now I don't have my code plug on the radio yet, so let's presume that's worked. I'll just shut these and shut this. Go to the programming software. Like I said, this is a portable version. I didn't need to install it. All the files are here. Run that. And I've got to point it at my current code plug